Okay, so once we do the armhole chain, the pattern tells us to skip the next 3 chain 1 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, and make a single crochet in the next chain 1 space. So let's make sure I got that right. I did the 31 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then into this one we make the single crochet, chain 2, and then we continue with the pattern of doing, let's see, make sure I'm on camera here, go into the shell. So you shell, or you make 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets, chain 2, and then make a single crochet in the next chain 1 in the next space, and chain 2, and then again go on top of the shell and do the shell stitch, and you just repeat this all the way to the end of the row. So I'll meet you back. Okay, we're at the end, coming to the end of row 20. So I'm just going to make my last single crochet in that chain space. So single crochet, chain 2, and then I have to make a double crochet in the 3rd chain here. So I yarn over and I go 1, 2, 3, so about this area here. I make a double crochet, and hopefully I will do it correctly. And that's the end of row 20. Okay, so now we are on row 21, and how we start this row is by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you do a shell stitch in the first shell. So that's 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, chain 1, 1, 2 double crochets, chain 1, go to the next shell, do the same thing, shelling on top of the shell like we've done before. So chain, or 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets, chain 1. So according to the pattern, we're supposed to do that to the armhole. So let's continue that till we get to the armhole. Okay, so I've reached the armhole portion, and I have to continue with the shell stitches. So what I've done, because it's really hard to see and video this all at the same time, I've put stitch marker, well, they're stitch markers, they're safety pins, at the points where you're supposed to continue making shells in that long chain that we did for the armhole. So what the pattern says to do is to skip 6 stitches. So, and then on the 7th stitch, make your shell stitch. So I'm going to try and do it on camera, the first one anyways. And it's hard to see and do this all at the same time. So if not, I might have to do it off camera and then show you what it looks like. But it might be helpful for you to do this as well. Maybe put some stitch markers in. I don't even know if I'm at the right spot here. I can't see. I might have to do this off camera. Let's see. Is that the right spot? Can I see where I am? Yes. Okay, there it is. I think. Oops. And I forgot to do a chain. Not a chain. A yarn over. So let's see this. Where is it? Where's that loop? There it is. Okay. I think I got this. Okay. So 2 double crochets in that chain space, chain 1 and 2 double crochets again to make that shell stitch in the armhole chain, and then chain 1. Okay, and then you go to the next part and do the same thing. So I'm going to do the rest off camera and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Well, actually, I'll meet you when we get back to these shells, because that's easier to do on camera. Okay, I've done that portion of the shells on the armhole chain with the help of those little stitch markers. It was really hard to see trying to film it. Anyways, it's done. So you start out, you do 4 along the chain, and you count the first one, you count 7, you do your shell, count another 7. Well, you do it on the 7th, you skip 6, and so you do it on the 7th, and then you just continue down and you do it 4 in total, and then you just continue doing the shells on top of the shells, which are, I'll just do these with you. Again, it's double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and chain 1. And I'm running out of yarn. I'll be right back. Okay, I got my other yarn ready to go. Okay, just carry on with the shells, and shell on top of the shell, which is 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets, chain 1, and we're down to the last shell. Two double crochets, chain 1, and out of yarn. So what I will do is I'll grab the new yarn and I'll just carry it behind. So let's see. I guess I'll just put it on my hook like so, and I'll weave those in later. So how many is that? Okay, that's it. Chain 1. Okay, and then we are to make a double crochet at the end of the chain 3, or on the 3rd chain at the end. So yarn over hook, 1, 2, 3, probably around here. Guesstimate. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there, done. My double crochet at the end of, what row is that now? Row 21. Okay, so I've just completed rows 46 and 47, and I made my second sleeve. And so now what we have to do is row 48 to row 67, and we have to continue in that pattern. And the pattern says to repeat rows 4 and 5 10 times. So we have to make 20 more rows with those 2 repeat patterns. So I'll start the first few, which was, so you chain 5, which I've done, and you create a single crochet, chain 2, and then you go shell on shell, which is 2 double crochets, with a chain 1 in between, another 2 double crochets like so, another 2 chains, and then I'm going to make a single crochet in here, and then do the shell stitch on the shell stitch, single crochet, shell on shell, single crochet, and so on and so forth. And then the next row I'm just going to do shell on shell, just like we did before, that repeat, and you just continue those 2 rows doing the single crochet shell on one row and shell on shell in the other row. We're going to do a set of 10, so you're doing 20 rows and alternating between the 2. Okay, so I finished row 48 to row 67. So the last row, 67, was the doing the shells on top of the shells, like so. So I did that all along the edge, that last row. And so we're basically pretty much finished this project. The only thing left to do is we have to do some trim around each side. So what the pattern says to do, the next step is to not fasten off, because we're going to just continue doing that, but instead of doing rows, we're just going to go down this side. And the first thing to do is chain 1, and then the pattern tells us to do 2 single crochets in each space. So let me do the first one. So we do, oops, I can't see, hang on. Do that again. So 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets in that first space along the edge. Hopefully you can see this. And then we go into this space right here and we do another 2 single crochets in that space. So that's 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. And then we go into this space and do the same thing. Just continue doing 2 single crochets. So 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. And then go into this next space right here and do another 2 single crochets in that space. So 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets, and then we're just going to carry on doing that all the way across. So in here, 2 single crochets, in here, 2 single crochets, in here, 2 single crochets, and so on all the way across. Okay, and I will meet you back at the end of that. Okay, so I've completed that, and now we're on the next one, which is the original. Sorry for bumping the camera like that. Your original chain the foundation chain that started the project. So what it's saying to do now is to do, let me look at this pattern quick. It says in working an opposite side of foundation chain, you do 3 single crochets in first space. Let me grab the correct yarn here. And do 3 single crochets in this space, I believe. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then do 1 single crochet in the shell base, so this space right here. So you do single crochet in there, and then it says to do 5 single crochets in the next chain 5 space, so right in there. So 1,